everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Training. I hope you're having a fantastic week. As always,
we are live from Austin, Texas, right here at Insurance Syndicate headquarters. And man, we have a great show for you.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing, man? Welcome to Tuesday Training. We are back for a special New Year's Eve episode. We missed you for Christmas Eve. We were out of the office, as I'm sure a lot of you were, doing our things, enjoying the holidays. But, man, we are back today. Got a great show for you. I'm super, super excited to have the guest on. This is a hot topic that people have been asking about. I mean, this is probably one of the hottest topics that gets discussed in Facebook groups among insurance agents is Facebook ads. Like, I need someone to help me run Facebook ads. Is there a Facebook ads course I can jump into to learn how to run Facebook ads? Is there anybody legitimate out there that can reputably help me run my own Facebook ads, et cetera, or teach me how to do it, or I can just outsource it too. And if you pay attention to that stuff at all, you will know that Facebook has an update coming starting tomorrow, January 1st. They didn't give us an exact timeline on it, but they want us to now, as insurance agents, we have to register as a special ad category when we're running Facebook ads. Used to be the only people in the finance category that had to do this were credit offerings, credit cards, loans, et cetera. But now the financial special ad category, as I understand it, includes insurance agents. So we will now have to do that, which means that if you are not set up with your ads as a special ad category, they will eventually take it down. So they launched it now, as I understand, and we'll get into this a little bit more. And then my understanding is that sometime in the first quarter, they will be enforcing it. So our guests will probably have some more info on that we'll dive into, and I'm super excited about that. Before we jump into that, I got a couple of notes I want to go over. And of course, as always, this show is brought to you by DFY CRM. Man, big shout out to them. They are my go-to CRM. I love it to death. If you are out there as an agent and you do not have a CRM, and it amazes me the number of agents that I talk to on a fairly regular basis that are still trying to manage their business on an Excel spreadsheet or something. Like, it's nuts. Like, you have to get a CRM to be able to manage these clients. That's the whole purpose of it. I mean, the acronym CRM means customer relationship management. Pretty simple. So if you want to manage that relationship, you need a CRM. And if you need a good one, check out DFY. It's got everything you need, from all of the different contact fields and reporting mechanisms to the different automations. You can build funnels, landing pages, all kinds of stuff. It even has conversational artificial intelligence, which you can plug in to help maintain conversations and even set appointments for you. So if you're looking for a demo on it, give my buddy Eric Fierro a call, and they will get you set up on a demo so you can check it out. Other than that, recently, before we jump into the main crux of the show, recently I was sitting in on the Patrick Bet-David Business Planning Workshop. Number one, it was outstanding. Very, very, very informative. It was a long day. It was a solid 8-hour workshop. Outstanding workshop. Like, the amount of information that he went through in truly really creating your business plan. Every single little detail of it. How to write it, how to create it out, how to pitch it, how to present it, how to build it, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to go through all that. But because it is New Year's Eve, and one of the popular traditions on New Year's Eve is to start making New Year's resolutions, right? What are you going to do next year that's going to advance the ball for you? What is going to help you grow, whether it's personally, professionally, whatever it might be? We all, this time of year, we start thinking, man, I want to lose weight. Man, I want to grow my business. Man, I want to drop this habit or start doing this habit, whatever it is. And one of the questions he posed in that business planning workshop was, when was the last time that you reinvented yourself, and why? That question struck me pretty well, and because I've done a couple of reinventions of myself in my career. I mean, I've started over in insurance a few times alone, but that was a great question, I thought. And then he went on further to talk about, from that, the 12 building blocks of business. And I want to just run through those real quick. I'm not going to dive into them super deep, but he gave us the 12 building blocks of business that you can use to really grow your business, to reinvent yourself and get things moving. And I want you to make a list and write these down and really start to think about them. When you write this down, there's two sets of building blocks. There is your emotional building blocks, right? The things that drive emotion, the things that excite you, stir you up, etc. And then there is the logical building blocks, right? So you got two columns. You got a set of emotional building blocks. You got a set of logical building blocks. And in those, I'm just going to go simple in order on each side. The first one is vision under the emotional building block. What is your vision? I talked about this at the seven-figure Medicare Agent Mastermind earlier this year in Savannah, Georgia. I think that was back in April or May, or maybe June. I forget. But what is your vision? Do you have a thought process for your business? Do you know where you're wanting to go? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like, etc.? But on the logical side of that is capital. If you want to exercise your vision, you want to execute on it, you got to have some money, you got to have some capital, right? So what is your vision? And then do you have enough capital or the right capital to help drive that vision? Number two, under emotion, is culture. What is the culture that you are bringing? Does that culture create excitement? Does that culture motivate people? Does that culture inspire people to work with you or inspire people to be great or better than themselves? What is that culture that you're growing? That's under the emotional building blocks. On the logic side, well, that's your team. What is your team? Do you have a team? Are you a one-person team? And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are you taking care of yourself? Are you training yourself? Right? So you have culture on one side that stirs the emotion of the team, and then you actually have the team, right, that you have to work with physically, train, and grow. Third building block on the emotional side is your dreams. What are your dreams? My partner, Joe Camper, talks about this all the time. It's one of the trainings he does with every single agent that comes into insurance syndicate headquarters here, is the house of dreams, right? Really trying to understand what are the things inside you that you want to achieve in life. Maybe it's material things, maybe it's personal growth, maybe it's legacy. What are some of those dreams that you have? And then on the logical side of that, well, what are the systems that you have in your business that are going to help you accomplish those dreams, right? So on one side, again, we have emotion, the things that drive us, stir us, really push us and inspire us towards our business. And on the logical side, we obviously have, in this case, systems, the processes that we actually need in place to help fulfill our dreams. Fourth on this list, under the emotional side of your building blocks, is your mission. What is the mission that you're driving at in your business? Do you have a cause for your business? If you've ever been to SWAT, you will understand that there are a lot of people in your organization that are really attracted to what is the cause, what is the mission that you're trying to do. Like in Avila, I can tell you that we believe that the Hispanic consumer is getting far left behind from many of the other consumers, particularly the Spanish-speaking consumer, because they don't have the access to information as easily as many of the other folks do. So our cause, our mission, is to make an impact in those people, to make sure that, number one, they are getting the information they need, they're getting the education they need, et cetera, right? On the logical side of that is the plan. What is the plan? Are you building your plan? Are you planning out that mission and what you're trying to do? How does it work? What makes it work? What drives it, et cetera? Going back to the emotional side is your will. What is your will to drive, your will to work, your will to succeed? How strong is that? Does it excite you? Does it get you out of bed in the morning? Does it make you work overtime from time to time when you need to, or you're working Saturdays? One of my new guys here, Gabriel, came in on Friday and Saturday over the Christmas break and worked because he has a strong will. He has stuff that he wants to accomplish. He's got dreams and goals and desires. So he has a very strong will to succeed and grow in this business. On the logical side of that, what are your skills? What skill set do you have? Do you have good sales skills? Do you have good product knowledge skill, et cetera, right? So you have will on one side, that's your emotional side, and then you have skill on the other side, right? Skill can be sharpened, it can be trained. Will can't. Will has to come through culture, setting goals, setting dreams, et cetera. And then the final one on the emotional side is your enemies. Who are your enemies that drive you, right? And there could be all kinds of enemies. It could be a competitor down the road. It could be, I can tell you, one of my enemies, I would say, is the government. I say this all the time because I work in government regulated healthcare. The government, to some extent, is the enemy. I tell our clients all the time, because when we talk about Medicare to them, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe, man. They just keep charging me money, Part B premium, tax this. I thought I paid in for that. And I always just tell them, like, yeah, I get it. Government's the problem. We're the solution. We're going to help you out, right? So what are some of the enemies that drive your emotion to make you succeed, right? And then finally, on the logical side of that, well, it's your competition, right? Who are your competitors? And are they really your competitors? And you've probably heard me say this before. I don't believe that other insurance agents are truly your competitors. Yeah, sure. I mean, we're an insurance agent focused on the Hispanic population of Medicare here in Cedar Park, Texas. there is another office right down the road. Good friend of mine, Adela Cochran, she runs an insurance agency focused on Medicare and definitely does a lot of work in the Hispanic space. I could call her a competitor all day if I wanted to. I could treat her that way. Doesn't do me any good, doesn't do her any good, right? I believe that the agents that are in the space are technically our brotherhood. And the reason I believe that is because it is an abundant marketplace in Medicare. You've probably heard me say this. I mean, by the time we get to the year 2030, there's going to be 80 million beneficiaries on Medicare. That's 80 million potential customers. You're never going to get them all, and you can't get them all, and you don't need them all. You only need 0.005% of the total marketplace to make $1 million. And that's $1 million every year. That's renewal money, right? You need 0.005%. That's 5/1000ths of 1%. That's why I don't believe that Adela Cochran and some of these other folks are actually my competitor. I believe that's part of the brotherhood. They're people I should look after, care for, and appreciate in the business and collaborate with when those opportunities present themselves. Your real competitors are institutional companies that want to come into this business and take a piece of the pie. Your Amazons, Googles, Walmarts, et cetera. They know how big the opportunity is, and that's why they're pushing into our marketplace. So those are the 12 building blocks that he went through. I hope you wrote them down. I'm just going to rattle them off again. Under emotion, you have vision, culture, dreams, mission, will, and enemies. And then on the logical side that counters that, you have capital, team, systems, plan, skill, and competition. So as you're approaching your new year and you're thinking about reinventing yourself, reinventing your business, etc., take those building blocks to heart. Put them in front of you. See what you can use from there to help sharpen your skill, grow your will, enforce your dreams, impact your vision, create better culture, grow your teams, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that rings for you, and I hope that helps you kind of set the tone for what we're going to do in 2025, because I can tell you what we are all going to do in 2025 if you're in the Medicare space is you're going to thrive. 2025 is going to be the year to thrive. I am super, super excited for what is coming around the corner. So with enough of that said, I am ready to dive into today's topic, man. Get your pens and paper ready, because the person that we're going to talk to is an absolute genius, I'll say. I was going to say stud, but she's not a stud. That's not really fair to say to her. She's an absolute genius when it comes to Facebook advertising. I met her at the 7-Figure Medicare Summit back in Savannah. Listened to her presentation, was very impressed with her, talked to her quite a bit. I follow her content. She definitely knows what she's talking about. And she was one of the first people that I saw that was bringing good information, right? Logical information to light about these new Facebook ad changes. So just to mention it again, right? Starting immediately, technically, if you're an insurance agent advertising on Facebook, you should be creating your campaigns and registering as a special ad category under the finance system, right? When I first found out about that, as many other agents saw, were like, oh, that's just going to increase our ad costs. And she was one of the first people that's like, that's not actually true if you know what you're doing. So that's what we're going to dive in today, is understanding what is going on, how is this going to affect us? And then number two, what can we do to maintain good, effective ad strategies? I mean, this is super important to me because I do almost all of our advertising, not all, but a large chunk of it is all on Facebook. We generate a ton of leads through it. It is our primary marketing source. So this definitely stirred me when I saw it. I'm excited to dive in with her. Our guest today is the CEO and founder of Social Waves Media. Please welcome to the stage, Ms. Shauna Thorenson. How are you today, Shauna?
I am great, Tony. What an intro. It is so good to see you this morning.
Absolutely. It's great to see you. You're out there in Tampa, Florida, right?
I am. I'm in Tampa, Florida. It's a little sunny right now today. Not bad weather at all. So
it's been nice here in Texas. We've had a really mild winter. It was 85 degrees yesterday here in Austin.
Really?
That was pretty close to one of the record highs we've ever had in December in Austin. We've had a few other. I mean, I looked at some of the history, like dating back to even like 1912. There was like a 90 or 89 degree day in Austin, Texas. So it's not hyper unusual, but it's a little different. But definitely good weather. So it is happy to have you on, and good to see you again. Like I said, we've met at the 7-Figure Medicare Summit earlier this year. Was super impressed, but you're kind of new to the syndicate group. We haven't had a chance to get you on any of our shows. So if you don't mind, just take a short moment, kind of introduce yourself, let them know who you are, what you do, and kind of what you're about.
Yes, perfect. Well, I love all of the tips that you kind of dove into at the very beginning. I know there's so much depth to what you said. And one thing that really rang true to me is the mission. And one thing that I've taken upon myself is I truly have this mission of empowering insurance agents to understand what it takes to actually take control of their own lead generation. And I really enjoy demystifying the entire social media marketing space. I think that there's a lot of confusion out there. I think that some of it is purposeful because it also gives job security to others. But there's certain information that I truly believe that agents deserve to know. And then in me sharing that information, they can make the decision if my mentorship and my teaching is the right style for them.
Sure.
But very briefly, my history, I first started running ads in 2015 and I launched my own agency in 2016, primarily focused lead generation. And then it was in 2022 that I was first kind of introduced into your world. I had someone that, well, he talks about it all the time. It's Luis Moreno over at 360.
Yeah.
And he asked me to do an ad audit for him. And whenever I performed that ad audit, I made just some very simple changes in the structure and the way that his ads were being served. And it reduced his cost per lead by 75%. And so he was the one that was like, this is crazy. You've got to start teaching agents this. And I always said I'd never have a Facebook ads course because you constantly have to update it. And somehow I kind of got looped into, okay, I'm going to play around with this because I truly believe that this is an industry that is more than capable of managing their own ads. It's not as complicated as some of my other long-term clients. And in 2022, my course, Insurance Click to Close, was born. Since then, we've had about 650 agents that have moved through that course. And I also have a mentorship, a private Facebook group where we have 3 live meetings a month, my team of ads coaches, and we help agents actually implement what they're learning inside of the course.
Outstanding. Outstanding. It's as you were discussing that, it made me think a little bit about how long I've been in this business and how I used to generate business back in 2004 versus today. Like in 2004, I mean, the internet was there, but it wasn't really it wasn't anywhere near the internet as today. I think Facebook was around in '04, but it really, again, wasn't Facebook like it is today. The only way an agent could really drive leads, and you couldn't even sell by phone really back then. It was extremely difficult. If you're going to sell by phone, you had to sell through the mail because all applications were written on paper. There were no digital apps. There were no e-applications. You couldn't even get an Adobe fillable format of an app. Everything came in booklets that was tear-offs. And I think about it because the reason I went down this rabbit hole all of a sudden was because you said, hey, how do I start generating my own leads? And I think about it going back in 2004, there was no way to really generate your own leads. The only way would have been to knock on doors. That would have been it, or cold call.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still having to buy data in some area to do that. And I generated all my leads by either buying direct mail or buying phone lists and just doing calls. And obviously I was limited to as far as I was willing to drive or walk to do any business. And then you fast forward to today, and the different ways that we have to generate traffic, to generate leads, to get ourselves in front of people there's no shortage of it. Let's just say it that way, right? And it's a big part of, in my opinion, of what is going to help an agent be successful is exactly what you said, is learning to generate your own proprietary traffic, leads, marketing, etc. Because the only other alternative is to live on a lead hamster wheel where someone else is in control of your leads. You're buying leads. You're always in that cycle of, well, I got to buy new leads so I can make money. I got to make enough money, set it aside so I can buy more leads and keep that thing going. But getting off that cycle is extremely difficult. And the only way to really get off is to learn how to generate your own leads. 100%.
100%. And even if you are going to make the decision to outsource your leads to maybe it's a team member. I have agents that actually bring their team members in and they attend the live meetings because they want their team member to learn, or you're going to actually hire someone. It's crucial for you to understand what's going on. I get the appeal of wanting to take a pill and lose weight quickly, or be able to just hire someone and not think about it and have the leads pour in. But the reality is, before you're going to hire someone, you should at least understand, because one of the things that has shocked me into coming into your industry is how often agents are taken advantage of by marketers. And it's it's infuriating to me how many times agents either have ads that aren't compliant, aren't even ran with their page, they don't own their ad account, and so on, and they have no idea. They've done nothing wrong.
No, absolutely. And it's well put because yes, marketers do unfortunately take advantage of a lot of agents. And I don't know if I would say it's just a lack of being informed as an agent, right? And you said it perfectly. Like, and I'm in this space again right now because I was in that space in Facebook ads. I was outsourcing it. I was finding someone else to do it for me. They did an okay job. I wasn't like they weren't delivering the message the way I wanted it delivered, right? They weren't representing the brand the way I wanted the brand delivered. Now, granted, nobody knew who the hell our brand was 5 years ago or 4 years ago. It didn't really matter. But nonetheless, like aesthetically, I was looking at the ads. I'm like, man, these are kind of trash. They were pulling a little bit of business. The
Yeah.
lead cost was a little high. And I wasn't gonna even worse, the CPA was really high on him. I was actually beating his CPA doing direct mail leads, which was nuts. And it kept bugging me. So I'm like, I know he can do better. He's unwilling to do better, no matter how much I talk to him and complain about it. So I have to learn. So I started learning. I started studying people online. There was a guy on YouTube called Ben Heath. He has got a really good channel on Facebook ads. I was really attracted to some of the things he was saying. I felt like he was really on top of the current status of Facebook and what was changing, what was going on. So we listened to a lot of his stuff, started implementing some things, and I started running my own campaigns side by side along the other guy that I'd hired until I could finally beat him. And I beat him about 2/3 of the way through my contract. I started getting a better price point, a better CPA, more leads. And then I just fired him and negotiated how we can work out the rest of my contract to do something different. But, and then since then I've been running it myself. And you said it perfect. Like there's no way you can hire someone if you don't at least know enough about it to speak the language and be able to measure their rate of success.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having to go through it again right now with web development. Like, dude, I am not a web developer. I don't want to be a web developer. I hate it. I like looking at websites. They're beautiful. I know what I want my website to look like, but I don't know how to do that. I don't want to learn how to do it. But I'm having to learn a little bit more about Google Search Console and WordPress and all of these back end pieces of it so that I can really understand and measure the success of my web developer. Are they doing the right work? Are they getting the right results based on that type of stuff? So that is a big part of it. And then ultimately, like the main driving cost, like if you're an agent, man, you got to learn to market yourself, because if you don't, you're going to be stuck in that constant revolution.
You're right. And from what I'm seeing, and this is relevant to the special ad category, but the agents that are going to succeed in 2025 and beyond are those that position themselves as advisors.
Yep.
You need to be seen as an advisor. Don't treat yourself like a commodity. And whenever you bring in new leads from a generic AI person ad that just says generic information about final expense or Medicare, whatever it is, and then they come in and they have no idea who you are, you're a commodity. They're just there to get the quote and the price.
Yeah.
If they see you as someone they can trust, that's what's going to win out when we are moving into this day and age of information overload and AI content. It's going to be the person that's the advisor that shares their take.
Makes sense. So we know that agents need to learn to market themselves to get off the lead hamster wheel, so to speak. But more specifically, why Facebook? Or maybe why social media? Why should agents be using it? And more importantly, why should they be advertising on there versus just organic?
Well, so I truly believe you can generate leads from multiple different sources. But when it comes to social media, I do believe in my experience that the best platform for agents to be active on is Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, and now also Threads. But Facebook and Instagram are one company, and you get the benefit of being able to take advantage of both platforms for the effort of one. And they also have one of the most advanced algorithms whenever you actually get into running your ads. And the best part is you don't have to be super tech savvy in order to have really big results, specifically in the lead generation world. So I truly believe that that is the best platform. The audience is there. There's 1.3 million active users that are over the age of 65. There's 3 billion active users in total on that platform. So whatever your demographic is, they're on there, and it gives you a great opportunity to put your content out there in front of the right person and hopefully hook them in and get them into your actual ecosystem so you can convert them.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely all kinds of ways to generate business and so forth. What do you think is the number one thing that agents do wrong when advertising on Facebook?
Okay, when they're running their own ads, if there's someone that's going to actually run their own ads, the first thing is they don't set up the back end of their account properly. Facebook makes it very easy for you to spend your money on their platform. I always say Facebook ads are kind of like they're a tool, like a paintbrush. Anyone can pick up a paintbrush and slap some paint on something and say, I painted something. Then others can paint something where you can tell it looks like a certain picture. And then there's people that can actually master the skill set of using that same tool and create a masterpiece. Facebook's like, here's this tool, give me your money, and I'll put your content in front of eyeballs. And most agents will run their ads through the Meta Business Suite, which is the very simplified version. It's kind of like riding a bike with training wheels. They just walk you through the steps and boom, you pay them and they serve your content to an audience. So it's the back end of the account that's not set up properly. 2, it is the structure of the campaign, which we can briefly talk about because it's very relevant to the ad category. When I break down ad campaigns, I typically use a tree as an analogy. So there's 3 different levels inside of the Facebook Ads Manager. There's the campaign, the ad set, and then the ads. And I like to say it's kind of like a tree. So we've got the tree trunk, which is the campaign. So whatever you choose at the tree trunk level is going to affect the rest of the tree. Then off of that tree trunk, we've got the actual branches, and those branches are the ad set. And that's where we set who we're serving our ads to, what we're going to have the conversion happen at, as a form on Facebook, or is it on your actual website? You choose where it's served and so on, or the state. Like, so let's say it's a state. Then from that branch, we've got the leaves, which are the actual ads. So those are the actual creatives people inside of that tree branch are going to see. So you can have one tree branch, you can have one that goes to Texas, one that goes to Alabama, and then you have the actual leaves inside of it that speak specifically to those people in that state to make it more relevant.
Makes sense.
So when individuals, so that's the way I like to break it down. And when individuals set it up on the back end and they go through this simple way, they only give Facebook one tree branch with one leaf, one ad creative. The quickest way to have Facebook charge you more to serve your content is to lock them in a box with only one leaf, only one ad creative. So you need to have a couple of ad creatives. So that's probably the biggest when it actually comes to the ad and the ad creative. So many agents feel like their ad needs to actually get the person to convert. So they want to put, here's all the things that I offer. Here's my logo. Here's my phone number. Call me. Here's my website. We help with this. We also do this other thing. And they put it all in there. And I say, your ad creative is like a resume. The resume is not going to get you the job. In fact, you want to have a simple resume and all it needs to do is get you the interview. So you just got to focus on that one step and kind of pull back, like create your ad and then pull back a couple of extra things that you've added on it, keep it a little bit more simple, and then get your content out there. So those are kind of the 3 biggest mistakes that I see.
I like that. I love the tree analogy. I've tried to explain it in like a hierarchical format as it's designed, but the tree analogy is way easier for dumb people like me to grasp. Pretty smart. And I can attest that what you said is 100% true. Like, you can't run one campaign with one ad set and one ad. Absolutely not. I mean, I can tell you that our Facebook ads, we're running probably 30 total ads at any given time on about 4 different campaigns. And each campaign has its own purpose and has multiple ads within each campaign, et cetera. Some certainly do better than others, but yeah, you can't just like throw an ad out there and go. And I also appreciate what you said about, like, you can't put everything that you're trying to get in that one little box. Like, you only get so much space. So to try to just overload that image or that video or whatever it is that you're doing with too much information, you're going to just, because there's already so much information coming through. So you want something that cuts through the noise. So, all right, well, let's dive into this, man. First of all, I want to let you say it, because maybe I say it wrong, maybe I say it incorrect. What exactly is the new change that agents are required to do now that want to advertise on Meta?
Yeah. What does special ad category mean? Well, so in order to understand special ad category, let me just like briefly give you a little bit of a history, because I think that it all comes together and makes sense. Whenever I first started running ads in 2015, 2016, we lived in a world where we were all about niche targeting. Like we would create these audiences. We wanted it to be 1 to 2 million. We would layer all these specific nuances, exclude all these other things, and create all of these different audiences. And that was kind of our special superpower as media buyers, as we knew how to create these audiences. And as time has passed, the audience targeting has slowly pulled back to where we live in a broad targeting world. And that's happened for two reasons. One, the algorithm has gotten really smart. We live in a world where the content finds the user. If you watch a content creator or a cat video too, like you show a little bit of an interest, the algorithm starts serving you the same content because it catches on to it. So that's one. Another reason is Meta kind of ran into some legal issues around is there some privacy intrusion that is happening whenever advertisers can target such very specific niche interest. And so for that reason, one, Meta started pulling away certain targeting demographics that we had available to us. Now, just because we as advertisers can't see that demographic doesn't mean that it's not still at play. Because the algorithm knows everything that you do when you're on your device. They know everything. So just because you can't see this specific targeting nuance thing does not mean that it's not taken into consideration when your ads are being served. And number two, they kind of ran into some legal issues when it came to advertisers purposefully excluding certain demographics when it came to opportunities that should be fair to everyone. And those things are like housing opportunities, career opportunities, financial opportunities. And so that's why in 2019, the special ad category was born. And that was to regulate that. And then there's also one that's for political ads, which just has a little bit more regulation. So it was born to kind of protect people from not being excluded from specific opportunities. In 2023, Facebook introduced something that's called Advantage Plus audiences. So what this means, this is a fancy word for when you go into the ad set. So you're setting up, you've got your campaign, that you've got the tree trunk and then the actual branch. When you go into that ad set, it purposefully lands on an Advantage Plus audience, which basically means any input that you put in there other than the state targeting is optional. So there's a lot of agents that think that they're running ads to 64 plus, but if you're using an Advantage Plus audience, 64 plus is just a suggestion. So you actually have to go in and change it to original audiences. It's still like this now. So we kind of live in a broad targeting world.
Yeah, when I go in to do it, it always asks me, like, do you want to keep using Advantage Plus or do you want to go back to the old audience targeting? I still use the old one because I have saved audiences that I know work for me really well. But at some point, I assume that will go away completely and we won't be able to use that at all. Or I guess when we select that we are a special ad category, we won't have that option.
Yes.
Right.
So the actual technical thing, so in understanding that history, the special ad category, you select it at the tree branch, at the tree trunk level. You say, we are going to be running a special ad category. For insurance, it now falls under finance. Whenever you go into the ad set and you're setting up your audience targeting, you can still lock in the states. So you can only run, you can say, I only want to run it to Texas on this ad set or whatever states you're licensed in. But what you can no longer lock in is zip codes. So we can't just target specific zip codes. We can target cities if you want to target a specific city instead. You cannot do certain specific interest targeting. So I think that there's only one now that's really relevant. I think there's insurance general as an interest in there right now. So you can't have certain interests. You can't use certain saved audiences. You can't select the gender. And then the big one is you can't select the age. It's locked in at 18 to 65 plus. Now, I understand why that sounds really scary, especially whenever your whole demographic is a certain population. But again, just because you're not able to see that as an advertiser doesn't mean that it's not something the algorithm takes account for. And I recently did an ad audit for a big group. If you want to hear more about that they had someone else set it up, that they were trying to run their final expense and Medicare ads for, and it was set up as an Advantage Plus audience. So there was no targeting involved. And when I did this ad audit, so it was a rather large corporation. They had actually hired someone that's pretty well known in my space for running ads for insurance agents. And they didn't realize that the way that this person sets up ads is they create a brand new Facebook page. So it's a generic page. It wasn't even, and this company has a good reputation. Like, I researched them before. They have good Google reviews. They're good people.
Yeah.
Didn't even use their Facebook page. Brand new Facebook page, generic.
Just a blind page, basically.
Mm-hmm. Then they had generic ads that were AI people. They had 2 ads in each ad set that were talking about like final expense. And then they had another for ACA. And even though whenever I did the ad breakdown and I was looking at where their ads were being served, most of their ads went to the right demographic, even though it was like set up completely like it was a mess. There's a lot of things they could change that would help them. And that was part of me helping them with their strategy for 2025. But the fact is, even with all of these mistakes, the algorithm still found the right people. And that was kind of my first clue of like, oh, when we go into special ad category, what my theory is probably going to be true, that it's still going to serve to the right people.
Right. Because you can see that in the back office. You can see who your ads are getting delivered to, the demographics, right? This many are male, this many are female, this many are 65, 64, 32, whatever, right? Do you know if you said we can target states, you said we can target cities, we can't target zip codes. I assume we could target counties. Do you know?
No, it's only cities plus
Only
a 15-mile radius.
Okay, so city plus 15 miles. Okay.
Yes. And this also affects, so it affects the targeting that you have the ad set level. And then it affects the information you're able to collect from your lead at the actual ad level. Now, so whenever it comes to your form, like if you're using a Facebook form, or if you're using a landing page, you can't ask for zip codes. You can't ask for age. You can't ask for birthday. You can't ask for some of this discriminatory information that you're not able to target. So it changes what you're able to collect on the actual creative part.
Say that again. Are you talking about when we create the lead form now?
Yes. So
if I'm running an ad and I'm using the Facebook Insta form, it's also going to remove zip code from that Facebook Insta form?
You are not. So right now, I still see the option that you could add that you want to collect the zip code.
Oh, yeah.
However, you're technically not compliant if you do that in special ad category. Now, is that going to disappear off the form access eventually on there when you click special ad category? I'm going to guess it's going to.
I would assume so,
If you have a web page that you're running traffic to, I will tell you your ad will get approved, and then the bot will go crawl your web page and it will flag you for not being compliant. And it might be a little confusing because a lot of their alerts don't really tell you exactly what it is. But it's going to be, if you're collecting their birthday, if you're collecting their zip code that they live in, and information that you're not allowed to target, if you're trying to sneakily collect that on the back end, it's actually not compliant.
I don't understand the beef with zip codes. I really don't get it. I mean, I can get it from an advertising side. Like, I want to make sure I'm only targeting zip codes that people have money. And if I know these zip codes is nothing but a bunch of broke jokes, I don't want to advertise there. I can get that. But if I'm required to advertise across a spectrum, I don't understand why I can't collect their zip code. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't really get their reason. If they want to blame that as the reasoning, fine. I'm not targeting a zip code. I'm asking for their zip code so that I can better deliver what they need. And this is super important if you're in the Medicare space, because if I know their zip code, I know what plans are available to them because I know what county they're in. I know what rates they qualify for if they're Medicare supplement. So I know how to properly greet them on the front end.
Yes.
It's not a huge deal. It's, if you get all you got to do is ask them, hey, what's your zip code? Then you can look it up. But it just, I like knowing it up front because it makes me a more prepared agent when I make that first phone call. Not because I'm not going to talk to them in that zip code. Those people suck. Like, that's kind of.
And that's what they're trying to protect. First of all, I'm not going to defend. I can defend Meta, but I'm not technically defending them. I have my own issues with them and being in this world for so long. I always say I don't own the playground. I just play on the playground. So I follow their rules because I don't want to get kicked off.
Exactly.
So I agree. I think that this is especially when it comes to health insurance. I understand this on the financial side, job opportunity. I get it. I don't understand why this is getting grouped fully in. All I know is the more time that I spend lamenting about it and being upset is the less time that I'm spending actually like
Yeah, bro.
adapting. It's
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So some of the things that we can't do, right? We can't target age. We can't target specific zip codes. We can't target income ranges. Is that correct? Income ranges will be zapped as well.
Mhm.
Can't target gender. Do you know if we can target languages?
So I believe that you still have that option. However, I'm going to tell you, you do not need to specify if it's in another language. It knows. If you are running now, I would say if you're running like Spanish speaking ads, put it in its own campaign, put it in its own ad set.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't even need to be in its own campaign. It can be in its own ad set. But the algorithm knows and it understands what people are actually consuming whenever they're on their device, and it's going to serve it to the right demographic
Okay.
for the right language.
Makes sense.
I believe that's still on there though, because I did see that, yeah, in my most recent test, it was still an option to switch it to a different language.
Okay. Because that was something that Texas did recently. And I'm sure there's other states that have done this as well, but Texas no longer allow, and it's not language, but it's similar. Texas no longer allows you to buy data based on ethnicity. And I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, well, people are going to buy data and they're going to exclude all the Spanish speaking or Spanish surnames, or they're going to exclude all the Asian surnames. Like, no. We're actually trying to do the opposite.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm targeting the Spanish surnames because that's where I excel the most. But they don't like that stuff. I was kind of surprised to see Texas make that adaptation.
Yeah.
But Texas was
I-
one, and that happened, I think, June or July last year because I remember, and I didn't know about it. I called Lead Concepts. I was buying a data list for one of my agents because I'm like, here, I want you to train on these and do your cold calls before my good leads come in, and I watch you butcher them. And so I went to buy a list, and then my vendor was like, yeah, you can't buy. I can't just filter out all the Hispanic surnames for you. I'm like, you can't. What do you mean you can't? He's like, yeah, Texas in June passed it and it goes effective. It went into effect on Tuesday. And
Mm.
sorry, you're calling me today. So yeah, it's too late. Like, no. So I had to buy a monster list full of everybody. Thankfully, he's bilingual, so it didn't matter. But yeah, so I see a lot of that coming around. So you're telling me, just want to make sure I understand this, and you're the second person that said this. I have to register as a special ad category. Do you know when they're going to start enforcing this? I know we're able to do it now, but they said
Yeah.
sometime in first quarter, they're going to start
Yes.
enforcing it and taking down people that aren't
Yes.
special ad
Yes.
category.
And I will say, so if you get dinged once or twice on Facebook for not being compliant, it's going to be okay. I would say the best thing that you need to do is you need to try to fix that. Don't try to. I already see agents talking about, well, what if it doesn't actually mention insurance and let's just kind of skirt around it and let's try some other things. Don't do that. Let's not do that. If you want to play on this playground long term, then don't do that. Facebook has such an issue with hackers and non-compliant ads that I am seeing now for the first time in the past like year and a half. I'm seeing it more frequently that individuals' IP addresses are getting blocked. So as an individual, you're not able to advertise. You can be on the platform, but as an individual, you're not able to ever have an ad account ever for forever. And when you run it in a special ad category, you have to show your driver's license. So very briefly, Facebook views whenever you're running ads, you as a person. So I'm Shauna, my own personal Facebook page. And then I have my business assets. I've got my business page, my ad account, and so on. And in order to get into my business assets, they need to know what person is actually going to have the key to all of those things that live in my business assets house. And then if I have a team member, I can give that key to other individuals, but Facebook needs to know who those individuals are. So even if you don't post on your personal page, you have to have that and actually confirm who you are before you can actually start advertising.
You don't have to have a blue check mark to be an advertiser.
No.
You're not going that far.
No, you just
You're
have to
up
verify
on
in the
a
back end.
personal page
Yeah,
create
who
a
you
business
actually
page,
are.
and then they create an ad account. Like that's kind of personal page, business page, ad account. Understood. So we're going to start enforcing it here pretty soon. And you said it perfect. Like, don't try to skirt it around because one thing, if you do have a business page and you're doing it properly, Facebook knows what type of business you are because you registered it or you listed it, you defined it when you created your business page. So like they know I'm an insurance agency because I don't have a blind fake page. Like we're representing Avila, right? We're not trying to create some fake blind page that we advertise on. That would be the only way that you might try to skirt around it, which would not be smart advertising. So Facebook is going to figure out who you are if you're trying to skirt around it. But so in your opinion, then, since we can't target all these things, what do we need to do to ensure that the algorithm is recognizing our ad and delivering it to the right people that want the content?
Yes, very good question. So we have been kind of trained, most of our, from what I hear most advertisers talk about and have experience, is it's about targeting and it's about the ad set and who you're selecting. And we really live in a world now, and especially in special ad category, your ad messaging can do the targeting for you. There was someone that sent me an email from someone else. It's actually one of my agents in my membership, and said, "What do you think about this?" And this person was saying, because you're moving in a special ad category, you need to have more generalized language because it's going to be served to everyone. That's the absolute complete opposite of what, in my experience, I believe you should be doing. Your language needs to be so specific that anyone that is not relevant is going to just keep on scrolling by. They're just going to keep on scrolling. And then for the right person, it's going to capture their attention. Agents have this misconception, or I see a lot of agents have a misconception that when you run ads, it's the platform's duty to go get you leads. It's not. It's the platform's duty to present you to their audience, give you an opportunity to get in front of their eyeballs, and then it's up to you to have the right messaging that hooks the person in.
Yep.
So it's about the ad messaging that you have. And then something that I have been testing in the past 2 weeks of me testing the special ad category is using conditional logic on the actual form. So what I'm meaning is whenever someone clicks on the ad and they come over to the form, there's a little bit of a welcome page. So in that welcome page, you can say, like I'm going to use the example, the biggest demographic that I've tested because it's such a specific age is T65 ads. I just wanted to know, can we get in the right demographic with this? So I created a very specific messaging T65 ad. If you're turning 65 in 2025, there's crucial deadlines that you absolutely need to know. We don't believe that enrolling in Medicare insurance needs to be confusing. In this guide, you're going to get 1, 2, 3, a checklist and all these things, unlock instant access. That was basically the messaging of it. When they clicked on it and they opened up the welcome page, it said, you know, you're about to unlock instant access to our guide. And then I had a conditional logical question. And I'm going to be honest with you, Tony, I don't know if I'm skirting the line on it with this. The reality is I'm not getting a lot from Meta because I'm trying to talk to them about this. I'm meeting with other industry experts, including I have a meeting this week with John Loomer, who is like the godfather of all Facebook ads, to really dive into this. But I've been running ads that say Medicare insurance is for individuals 65 plus. Do you currently qualify, or will you in the next 3 years?
You're
If
putting
they
that
click
in their conditional logic in the form?
So if they click yes, they get taken to the next page, which is email address, phone number, name, and then I've been collecting state, even though I have it specific to state. My best performing ad is collecting state, ironically, the one that has more of the information. If they say no, then it's just going to say, you know, thanks so much, like this isn't the right offer for you.
Get out of my ad.
And partially, not only does that help filter the leads that are actually coming in, but on the other end, from what I'm seeing, it's teaching the algorithm who I actually want to convert. And the ad set that I don't have conditional logic on, those leads are at like $11. I think that could come down a little bit if I kept running them and made a couple of tweaks. But that one's at like $11. And it also was served a little bit more outside of the demographic. I'd say 70% was the 60 plus crowd. And then the two that I have conditional logic are at, one's at like $6, one's at $5. Just the other day, just the leads that came in one day were at $2.26. So it's starting to get smarter on understanding who I'm looking for. And it's the conditional logical ads that are performing well. So using your ad messaging to actually teach the algorithm who you want, I think is going to be the most critical move that agents can make.
Now, would you say that's only true in the copy of the ad? What if you're doing a video? Will it pick up the messaging in the video as
Mhm.
well and say, oh, she's talking about Medicare in Spanish? We should send this to all the Spanish people that are probably Medicare age.
It absolutely will. It knows everything. I mean, that's why if you're scrolling through and you get stuck watching a turtle on a skateboard, which is a random thing, but I use this as an example because I watched this turtle on a skateboard like 2 different videos, and now it keeps showing it to me until I don't show interest in that anymore. So it catches on and it knows exactly what. And then you start seeing other little like turtle content or things that are kind of around that for it to see if you're interested. It absolutely knows. One thing that I'm diving into this week that's kind of on the next to-do list is what are our limitations when it comes to retargeting in the special ad category?
Mhm.
Can we put a video view up and then retarget those individuals for that specific video? Are we allowed to do that? I honestly don't have the concrete answer to that just yet.
My understanding is there's no more lookalike audiences,
There's not.
right? Can't do any of that. Isn't that where your retargeting comes in? Is from the people that pay attention to some ad, and then that's you create that audience. So would you
So
not
the
be able to
look
create those audiences anymore to retarget?
So the way that I view the audiences, there's cold audiences that have never heard of you that you're brand new, and then there's warm audiences that have been exposed to your brand before. A lookalike audience is essentially a cold audience because they take people that have already converted and they say, "Oh, this is Mary converted and Betty over there looks just like Mary." Even though Betty's a cold, brand new, never heard of you person, she falls into your lookalike audience. So a retargeting or warm audience would be individuals that have interacted with you in some way. They've clicked on an ad, they've looked at your profile, they've watched 15 seconds of a video, and they've interacted with you. Maybe they visited your website. Those are the audiences that you're retargeting that have interacted with you but have not converted into a lead yet.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, and you also stated, just to make sure I understand, so they're clicking on the ad, they're going to a form, you're using conditional logic, and you're telling me that the algorithm is also learning how to better deliver your ad based on how people are answering the conditional logic in the Insta form?
It
Are you guessing that that's happening? Or do you know for sure that that's definitely part of the way the algorithm learns?
Well, I know that definitely for sure. So the way that the algorithm works, they don't actually charge you per lead. They don't
Right.
charge you per video view. They charge you to get in front of 1,000 eyeballs.
Right.
So you say to Facebook, I'm looking for this action. I want people to like this post. Facebook's like, okay, I'm going to go show your ad to the first 1,000 people that I think are going to do this action you want. And I'm going to charge you whatever the going rate is for that audience at the time, the CPM. So it's going to try to get you whatever you want. So I created in my course, and which I'm always having to update, I teach agents to set up engagement ads in order to help teach the algorithm for a cheap cost per lead or cheap cost per acquisition of getting them to like something to get them to interact with their page. And in my testing, I did a whole slew of engagement ads that were non-insurance related and insurance related in a special ad category just to see if I could swing the breakdown of the age. And it was, I would say like 50% of the traffic got to the age demographic I wanted, but the other 50% didn't because
Okay.
the mission was to get me the action I wanted, a like.
Right.
When I move to leads, the mission I want, Facebook understands it's a standard event. They understand what a lead is. It's someone giving you their information so you can contact them later. So they're going after the people that they feel or that they believe based on their actions are most likely going to give you that. They're going to give you their information and convert. So as I'm running these ads and I did the exact same setup, the only thing that I changed in the testing was the conditional logical form. And for whatever reason, that form swung very quickly to only serving 60 plus crowd. I'd say 85% of the reach is going to the 65 plus crowd. My conversions are only happening in the 60 plus crowd. And it's my theory and my hypothesis that the reason why that cost per lead has gone down is it's understanding who to get in front of a lot faster. And this happened in like 3 days at $10 ad spend. Like, I would say start small and then you want to scale up so you can give the algorithm a little bit of time to kind of catch on.
Absolutely. anytime I've launched an ad, I've always started with a small budget first, like maybe $5 a day. Let's run this thing, leave it alone for like 2 weeks, just let it roll. If I can get some leads out of it for $5 a day, that's a good ad. Now we can turn up the budget, maybe expand the audience, et cetera, et cetera. Awesome. So good. So what help me understand a little bit more about how we take advantage of some of these other items. So you mentioned Facebook. Is there any value in advertising on Instagram or Threads as part of the Meta universe?
So right now, Threads doesn't quite yet have paid ads. That's something that's supposed to come in 2025. But yes, absolutely. Whenever you're in the ad set level, you can still select where your ads are being served to individuals. And you absolutely want to select Instagram. The default's going to say, let us serve. I always say they want to serve your ads in always. That's what they want. They're like, just let us do everything. And it's not always the best decision when it comes to lead generation ads. Like, you don't want your ad showing up on Audience Network. You don't want it showing up on top of Reels. That's where you're watching a reel and it's a tiny little thing down here that says that. That might work for some brand awareness, but not so much for actually getting someone to click and convert. So you can still go in and customize where your ads are being served. And I highly recommend you do that. But you absolutely should be on Instagram and also Facebook. And if you post on Facebook, let it show up on Instagram. Take advantage of both platforms.
Makes sense. One of the challenges that I have had in advertising with Facebook over the last few years, other than just getting to learn it and getting going, is sorry, because this is about to go on Facebook. So I'm sorry I'm about to say this, but I am. I have found very little value in their Meta Marketing Pros that get assigned to your account. I've gone through probably 12 of them because the turnover is extremely high. So about every 2 months, a new person contacts me. Hey, Tony, this is Janice. I'm your Meta Marketing Pro. And I've spent time talking to them because a few of them, because they seem to be engaging, et cetera. They want to talk to me. They're like, hey, I've got some great ideas. None of their ideas have ever worked. Every idea they've ever given, all it does is increase my cost it doesn't increase my lead count at all. Have you found any value in talking to any of those folks? Maybe I'm sure at a certain level of technician, right?
Well, your experience is not unique, Tony. The Meta Marketing Pro, their job is to, if you have someone reach out to you, it's good to have a communication point in the event that something weird happens. You get locked out, an ad's not compliant. It's good to have Janice be a little bit of your that you're like, okay, Janice, thanks so much. But the reality is their goal is to get you to spend money. And they're going to say, wait, have you ran ads for clicks? And they want to push you to get ads for clicks because you get results quickly. It's very easy to get someone to click on things. Does it help your business model? Probably not. Right. But they push you to do different things. So no, my experience has always been that it's not. And recently I was given someone that they're like, this is the top level Meta Pro. And I'm like, perfect. You're going to help me in all of this special ad category because this affects a lot of people. And I had a meeting with him and he actually understands funnels and other things. And I was so hopeful. And when I sent him my follow-up questions, Tony, his response, first it took him over a week. And then he said, all of your questions are daunting. Here are some articles that could help. And then sent me the generic articles.
Wow.
So I was like, I had so much hope in you. His name is John. I had so much hope in you.
So that's unfortunate because as agents, we need someone at that level that we can rely on. So this is kind of where I'm going with this specifically. This is why we need people like you, people who know our business, people that understand the real marketing, what we're really trying to accomplish, and the fact that Facebook does not have the bandwidth maybe or the staff to actually interface with us and help us really run and maximize our ads the proper way. All they're doing is maximizing their profit based off our ad spend, not necessarily ours. So with that said, because I know when we met in Savannah, right, I know you work with agents. I know you help agents out in different capacities. What are some of the things that you do with agents and helping them grow their Facebook marketing?
So the primary way that I work with agents is empowering them to take control of their own lead generation. And I
Okay.
do that through, I have a course that is Insurance Click to Close. I have a free online training that I have links to on my website, or we can add here if you're interested in learning more. I kind of break down and demystify Facebook ads and then talk to you specifically about my course. And this course walks you through whether you are not tech savvy at all. I actually am used to working with agents that aren't even quite sure how to get into their personal Facebook page. I think you're fine, Tony. I think that you could consider yourself tech savvy these days. But I've worked with many agents that aren't even sure. So I even have an extra course that I give out that literally shows you here's how you create a Facebook page. Here's how you connect them. Here's how you post on both. Here's how you navigate Instagram. Yes, your friends will see what you like on here, and so on. But I really teach agents from beginning to the end of how to have a profitable Facebook ad campaign. And one of the biggest differentiators is not only the strategies that I teach that are specific to different lines of business, but I teach agents how to actually understand the data. Because when you have Facebook go serve your ads, there is no mystery when you understand how to read the data, where the hole is. You can look at it and you can see, is it my ad creative? Is it my actual image? Is it my form conversion rate? What is it whenever it comes to people that are actually clicking on the ad? You can break all of that down and actually know what changes you need to make in order to continuously improve.
Makes
And then
sense.
agents that want extra help when they come into the course, they get offered to come into my membership where we have a private Facebook ads group. I have 4 team members that are in there monitoring it with me. And we have 3 live meetings every month where we actually share screens. We go in, we help edit things. We help you get your ads up or whatever questions you have. And then we also talk about digital marketing, like your email marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking time to drop on. Obviously, you're all over social media because I follow you on LinkedIn, I follow you on Instagram, I follow you on Facebook. I'm sure you're on some of the other ones as well. But if an agent wants to find you, the easiest way, what's the best way to locate Shauna Thorson?
You can just look up my name.
There you
YouTube,
go.
it's at Shauna Thorson. That's my own personal goal of 2025 is actually focusing on YouTube a little bit more and getting my own long form content out there. But yeah, at Shauna Thorson for Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are the main ones that I'm active on.
Awesome. Well, we'll circle back. We'll make sure some of those links you mentioned are in the comments for follow-up viewers. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy day. What do you just real quick before we finish up the show? Do you got anything massive planned for New Year's Eve? Anything exciting?
Oh, it's going to be crazy. I'm going out to a dinner at 5:45 p.m. is when our reservations are. But no, we're going out with some of
Get
our
wild.
closest friends. We're going to go get crazy for a little bit, and then we're going to go back and celebrate at their house and hang out with some
Yeah,
closest
nice
friends.
and
So,
safe, man. Absolutely. Right on. Well,
sure.
thank you so much, Shauna, for stopping by. I appreciate it, man. And thank you guys for
Sure.
tuning in. Appreciate you guys listening. Check her out on Facebook, on Instagram. You can follow her anywhere. She's easy to find. And if we can ever help you with your Facebook ads, give Shauna a call, give me a call. We'll always be happy to help. And we'll see you next week, next year. We'll see you next year for Tuesday training. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful New Year's Eve.